Today we'll try solving the weird door handle issue. I'll tell you why the Polish army fears Chinese cars, Tesla's at it again, and finally let's answer a serious question. Would you rather road trip an EV in the winter or drive an Audi RS3 on a snow track? This is Drive-Thru January 2026. Let's go! And Audi is not the only one wearing studs. Today I'm also studded. But not Quattro yet. That's in the evening. This episode is brought to you by 3W Liners. Keep your car interior clean with perfectly fitting OEM-compliant mats, which are also eco-friendly and odorless. I have a set of 3W Liners in my car and enjoy how winter mud and grit stays on them and how easy they are to clean. They come with OEM mounts or adapters and everything stays in place. Get a set of 3W Liners for your car, check out the link in the video description and use my code to get a discount. And now back to the studio because I'm a twat who packed so much video gear that I had to leave my laptop behind, and on it was the script for this episode.
China is shaking up the world. From a country producing junk and fakes, the Middle Kingdom has transformed into a manufacturer of almost everything we use, and its automotive market is so large and important that Chinese regulations could influence global regulations as well. For example, China has recently announced that from the beginning of 2027, new models sold there will be banned from having flush or retractable door handles. This stems from concerns about access to the car from the outside by emergency services in case of an accident. Cars, and I'm relying on translation from Chinese government website, weighing up to or with a GVM of up to 3.5 tons will be required to be equipped with physical door handles on the outside and on the inside with a mechanical release mechanism in the event of power loss. The mechanical door release handle should be easily identifiable by the passengers, so no latches hidden in the door pockets or under the armrests. Ideally, under normal circumstances, the door handle can be electrically or electronically operated, but a firmer pull means it switches to a steel cable. Exterior door handles, regardless of their position, should provide sufficient access to manually release the mechanical lock. These regulations come following some car accidents of various brands where occupants were unable to exit the vehicle. New rules will likely influence the design of door handles in cars worldwide. In recent years, car manufacturers have been introducing various innovative solutions, partly because they can and partly to integrate various safety systems such as warnings about approaching vehicles or pedestrians. While the driver can check their mirrors, passengers cannot. Theoretically, the driver should signal passengers whether they can exit the vehicle or not, but something tells me that some software engineer decided it's easier for them to code than to speak to their Uber driver. Besides, cars are meant to drive themselves one day, right? But before cars can drive themselves, they need a lot of data from their surroundings. This data is collected using various sensors and cameras. Firstly, such data could be exploited by hostile forces, and secondly, smart cars themselves are vulnerable to attacks that result in taking control over them or disabling them. And this doesn't sit well with the Polish military. In December 2025, Poland's Center for Eastern Studies published a report, Smartphones on Wheels, in which the author notes that China has been certifying smart cars for some time now, deciding what data they can collect and transmit so that they can drive freely on Chinese roads. And since China perceives smart cars as a potential threat, it's safe to assume that the Chinese authority also see intelligence potential that the vehicles have. And as Chinese automotive exports are on the rise and the relations between China and Russia remain good, the threat of espionage to Polish military facilities becomes increasingly real. This is especially true since, according to the report, there are no comprehensive EU regulations governing the legal framework for smart cars. The Polish army is therefore wary of Chinese cars and is working to restrict access of Chinese vehicles to Polish military bases. Now, a note from me, does the military check what smartphones the soldiers are using? Also, there are relatively few of these truly smart Chinese cars capable of transmitting sensitive data to Chinese servers, at least sold in Poland. Most are cheap or mid-range models which don't always have properly working infotainment systems. Now, this doesn't change the fact that Chinese cars are increasingly popular on the market, and sooner or later, more advanced models will also make it into the showrooms. But smartphones on wheels aren't produced only in China. Most modern cars today are connected to the internet because regulations require it. Meanwhile, hackers demonstrated the ability to remotely hack popular cars over a decade ago. While the threat from China is easy to define, if I were in charge of counterintelligence and state security, I'd start considering the potential dangers of driving any car manufactured in recent years. And that's before we get to electric cars. Now, Tesla is also on the list of cars that could potentially collect too much data about their surroundings, but that soon might not be a problem as Elon Musk announced the end of production of Model S and Model X to free up production capacity for the Optimus robot. But in order to piss off not just people with too much money, Musk decided to sell FSD only as a subscription and to remove autosteer, which is Tesla's lane keeping assist feature, from the standard autopilot. This is intended to convince more customers to subscribe to FSD. Tesla also announced its plans to become a transportation-as-service company. That's why I decided to drive a different EV, which fortunately doesn't require me to subscribe to its features yet. As you may or may not know, a few months ago I joined the World Car Awards jury. After the first round of voting, the results of which were announced in early January, I was left with a few more cars to drive, including the Kia EV5, which has just arrived in Polish showrooms. Now, this isn't a full review due to my schedule and the freezing cold we were experiencing in Poland. I'll film the EV5 in April, but I've had the opportunity to take Kia's new electric crossover on a winter road trip, and here's what I learned about the car and the state of Polish charging infrastructure in early February 2026. On the plus side, communication between the car and the chargers is finally seamless. Swipe the card and the charging initiates within seconds. I didn't have to call the operator to remotely reset the charger, as was the case even a year or two ago. On the minus side, despite preconditioning the battery, I wasn't able to achieve peak charging power, and the further away from major roads, the less the charger's output than the power indicated. Also, at minus 15 degrees Celsius on an expressway, the car uses around 30 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which isn't ideal. And finally, the RS3. Audi has invited me to drive their Q5 through the Alps and then do some drifting on an icy track. I link to my Audi Q5 review in the video description. Alps or not, I think it's a competent SUV that could do a lot more if they reprogrammed the safety and eco-nannies. I've also driven the RS3 on a proper track before, but drifting on ice emphasizes how the clever torque split differential works, and if I didn't know any better, I'd be screaming something on the lines of "I'm a driving god" with my head out the window. But I know it was Audi Tech doing the heavy lifting for me. Still, if you have the time, do treat yourself to an ice driving training of some sort. It's an easy way to feel the car's dynamics in an environment safer than a serious track or your supermarket parking lot.
And what car-related news piqued your interest over the last couple of weeks? Drop me a comment below, and next week it's the brand new Renault Clio Hybrid. Yo! See you then. Look, no slippage. Studs do that to you.
If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.